Hi Aquarius, this is your June 2025 soul story. If you have a sun rising or moon in the sign, it's your reading. Thanks for joining me on the channel. It's Romy here. We're opening up for you this month with the Three of Cups. I believe that your heart expands to really welcome in something that has become an intense desire for you. You're finally ready to meet it, and I do believe that it's going to be what you need it to be. You're into fifth house energy through Gemini season, and there is a flow and a harmony that can be embraced at this midpoint of the year that does indicate that June is being what you were needing, a little bit of a respite, but at the same time, challenged in order to step up and claim and come to the full realization, and in many ways take that bigger step into the new version. You've been straddling these two worlds, you've been transitioning, and sometimes we have to align the energy first before the action happens, and there's definitely the sense of just coming into this harmony, and it's your heart that's speaking to you. New creative ideas are being explored, and they're being explored with others. It seems to me that it's actually through friendships, through the groups, the people that you have perhaps stumbled across or perhaps have been with you through thick and thin, that you're turning to more than ever this month. And we've got Venus coming into Taurus on the 5th, this really nurturing, nourishing energy that's incredibly supportive actually. And with Mercury shifting into Cancer on the 8th, we just have a lot more of that gut feeling starting to come online. Now, Pallas Athena, the asteroid goddess, is going retrograde in your sign on the 9th. I do think you are set to have, through June, Aquarius, some what now moments. That might mean that you're going to have to figure out like a new strategy of how to do something. What worked before doesn't work anymore. And perhaps what you had even been investing in up to this point in the year is maybe now being reviewed or reevaluated. Not to say that it wasn't worthwhile, but there's something shifting in you, but also around you, that's going to need you to just come back and just take some time and, catch your breath in that moment as well. It's not about rushing in this month of June, even though you might have new ideas or you feel that there's that sense of urgency. I think ultimately, almost like the slower you can go with something in June, the more successful it's going to be for you, because it's also about kind of reclaiming that balance. You're not going to want to fall back into old habits where there's that sense of hustling and pushing and forcing for something. You have a nice celebration that's coming through, and on the 9th, we also have, of course, Jupiter moving out of Gemini and into Cancer, exalted in this position. And, this cardinal energy is going to be encouraging, you to take action. And in that 6th house, where you're going to be working with this energy for the next year, your day-to-day experiences, how you're being of service, but also how you're taking care of your health and well-being really matters. Now, strength comes through because I believe that there is something that you need to put in place. And I think you've been sort of dancing around it a little bit. Maybe you've tried a few times. It's not quite been the right time. You're leading with a soft heart this month, but you also need to deploy some strong boundaries and some high standards, okay? And I think that sometimes the conflict arises because you don't want to seem like you're coming across like cold or icy or detached, but at the same time, in order to protect and to nurture that soft heart, which is going to be the sanctuary for all of this new creativity and the new things that want to come into your life, you simply have to put these boundaries and these things in place that ensure that you're not getting dragged back into things, or that you're not picking up on the projections or the energies of others in the same way. I think that these symptoms that have been showing themselves to you over and over again cannot be ignored anymore. And again, we're digging deep to find the levels of emotional stoicism that are required to just go, you know what, enough. But like I said, you also have the support of others to kind of keep you on track and remind you why you're doing it. And maybe that's also necessary at times, as you might just have a little bit of questioning, you know, is this really the right thing to do? Am I really handling this in the right way? You absolutely are. I think that there's going to be something where you just see that you're not fitting in anymore. And you just simply can't feel bad for doing what is right for you. That's going to be a very important message to take away in this month of June. So as Jupiter's set to expand and open up some new doors, we've got the Four of Pentacles here. And the thing I want to say with regards to that is that sometimes we can feel almost a little timid and a little nervous to want to move away from like the safe zone. You know, there's almost something where we feel like, well, things are okay right now and I don't want to take too many risks. I don't want to kind of, just rattle the cage too much. It just feels like there's that second guessing of something. But in all honesty, there's some area where you have been suppressed or you have been holding yourself back. And I don't think we get away with, in 2025, you know, not almost fully committing to the experience of what else there is or where we're being called. And what comes alongside that is a degree of discomfort that requires you sort of leave the shoreline. So there's also a little bit of battling around that. Now, when we come into the mid-month, we've got the full moon in Sagittarius arriving on the 11th. And what I think occurs for you around that time is just seeing something that, again, you really want. Like there's a desire that gets sort of turned up. It's not anything new. It's something that's been with you for a while, but you know, maybe you see it in more vibrancy or someone else is then doing it or whatever that is. And it just strikes a chord in such a powerful way that you're like, gosh, there's got to be more to life. Like this is what I want. Why am I not doing it? Why am I not there? And then immediately after that, you're hitting this mid-month sort of critical point, which can feel like a little bit of a speed bump, right? We've got Mars and Leo squaring Uranus and Taurus, and the conversation of security versus freedom again leans back into that Four of Pentacles. It's sort of just like, to what degree am I really prepared to put this at risk in order to sort of fight for my freedom or for, you know, the expansion that I need in order to keep growing. The same day, we've got Jupiter newly in Cancer squaring Saturn newly in Aries from last month. And, you know, this is almost like a new consideration that's coming online. So think about it like Mars and Uranus are telling you something that you already know. And Jupiter and Saturn are coming in with something that you're like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about that, or I hadn't anticipated that this would also be part of the mix. Now, squares can feel like a tense pressure point, but sometimes that can bring out the best in us, even though initially we may feel slightly backed into a corner. So there could be something in and around that time. And remember, you're not an option, you are a priority. And that's the way to look at the things that matter in your life as well. To what degree are you just making them options rather than a sole focus or something that is an absolute it has to be. This is my number one intention. And so, yes, it's a slightly uncomfortable energy to navigate that mid-month, but it's nothing more than a speed bump. It's certainly nothing as challenging as what you may have been experiencing in the last few weeks and months. And I think that you're already being shaped and prepared so much for what happens next that this is just going to feel like maybe a little bit more of the shove in the right direction that actually you need. And on the other side of it sits something quite remarkable. We've got the energy of the Six of Wands here, the recognition, the claiming of something, the acknowledgement that actually this can work. So that full moon showing you really what you want, the desire in your heart expanding to meet it, being challenged in terms of the areas that you've held yourself back, and now recognizing, okay, this is what it's going to take and I'm doing it. And actually quite quickly, the actions that you may see yourself taking in the month of June lead to something that's quite validating and tangible in terms of what it presents and brings through for you to sit with, okay? There is this realization of why it matters as well. I mean, you'll have known what your why was anyway, but you know, there's just something about how June sort of positions things that is really making you sort of reacquaint with why this was such a big deal in the first instance, you know. And actually, you know, maybe this is something that's needed to kind of take a really peculiar, strange journey for you. And you might find yourself reflecting on that very much in this month of June as well. It's like, oh, wow, look at what it's taken to get to this point. Okay. You're going to come into the energy on the 17th where Mars is shifting into Virgo. And what I feel is going to be supportive here is that you're then gearing up to take action and you're not missing anything. Remember, as we come into Cancer season, that 6th house is going to want to pay attention to what it is that you're doing every day to help support the things that matter most to you. And again, with that support from Pallas Athena, pouring back over your plans and your strategy, and Mars moving into Virgo, I think you're really well placed and well positioned to get something right this time. Even if you felt like you've had to have a go at it 2 or 3 times, something about this mid-month is sort of affording you the realization of, oh, this is how it will come together. This is how it will, you know, align for me. And that's across the board. You know, it feels like it will show up, you know, specifically in how you've been handling relationships and the growth that's happened within that, and what's going on in your work, and particularly in your health and well-being, okay? Now, Jupiter and Neptune have a little bit of a strange conversation on the 18th, so pay attention because it might just feel like, what the hell is going on? Okay, so there's a little bit of that moment happening. I quite like you've got this groundedness of the Knight of Pentacles coming through here, so just don't be distracted. That's what I want to say with regards to that, but also just check your facts, okay? Just make sure that something isn't being sort of blown up and amplified, and you know, it's almost like somebody sort of making a promise or saying something, and 6 of Wands, you know, in a very public way. It's like, you know, when you go and you dig a little bit deeper, actually it's just vapor, right? There's nothing really of substance there. So just keep an eye out around that time, particularly if you're looking to commit or sign, or, you know, really take somebody at their word, at face value, okay? But then we shift into solstice, you know, such a beautiful time of the year as the realignment and kind of the reset. And I think the reflection of what you've undertaken, what you've gone through, how you've evolved since you emerged into 2025. And, you know, that Knight of Pentacles tells me that you're doubling down in a commitment to something. And, you know, maybe with ritual, you kind of really anchor and set that in. Again, back to your 3 of Cups, there's something quite special about the people that you spend time with this month and how they make you feel and how they support that version of you. So as you make that commitment and you realize, you know, I'm not where I want to be or where I need to be yet, but I'm certainly a lot further on than I was. You know, that is something to be super acknowledged and comes in to really uplift you and remind you actually that things happen quickly, and change, especially through the course of this year, can be surprising. So you might have actually the leaps and, you know, the productivity and the progress coming online in ways that you hadn't really foreseen, okay? In the meantime, just keep strong and focused and committed. And even when things are feeling like, oh my goodness, like I'm sort of bored of doing it this way, or gosh, I would like to you know, just be there already. Try to just find some beauty in terms of the moment that you're in, okay? Because you're going to look back and be like, wow, that was actually such a powerful time for me. And also you're in that place of sort of knowing what you're doing, not where you're meant to be, but still just kind of enjoying that process of becoming and learning, and you know, this stepping into this sort of new life, because it's a brand new chapter, you know, that you're going to be fully immersed in by the time you come out of 2025, right? Now, yes, that is about a splitting open energy that you're having to navigate, but at the same time there's a lot of excitement that can come along with that in terms of what is possible. Now you're building up to the new moon in Cancer on the 25th. Really nice conversation on the 24th with Jupiter and the Sun. You've got the Nine of Pentacles here. You see, there's your doorway. Like I said, you're like, you know, you're sort of bridging these two worlds. But there's a freedom here and a flow, like her, you know, her white dress is just kind of billowing in the breeze. Like there's something easy and light about how you're feeling and what you're thinking about coming into that time. There's a reminder to persevere because something pays off. So regardless of the challenge, June still holds you. And I think once we come out of that mid-month with more of the tense aspects, we step back into the flow and the harmony. You know, it's not to say that when you look externally, you're not continuing to see discord and chaos, but on an internal level, something is shifting and coming back into a place where it feels more understood. It feels more right, and most importantly, it feels remembered by you. So be clear in the intentions that you're setting, and make sure a strong focus for you around that time, Aquarius, is going to be, how do I take care of my physicality in this? What do I need to do in order to sort of provide that strong rooted foundation so that I can go off and explore all of these other things, you know? And your body's going to tell you exactly what it needs. So just give yourself time to tune in on a daily basis, but particularly around that new moon, set the intentions for that. I think movement matters for you in more ways than one, okay? You're going to want to look towards the people, the projects, the things that are happening for you in your world, and you're going to want to see, even if it's small, even if it's subtle, even if it's just like a tiny step, what you are looking for is to see the progress. But the important thing from that, particularly if you're looking towards others to see, you need to acknowledge in yourself, well, how have I changed? What's shifted for me? Because the minute that you can really identify and you're honoring that, you're going to witness it more in others. So it changes the conversation. So no longer you're looking at people going like, gosh, you're just doing that thing again, or, you know, you've not changed at all, or you made this promise and it's not happened, or this hasn't moved. You know, that's almost reflective of an inability to see within yourself how much you've changed. So the more space you can hold around that new moon to realize that, the more you're likely to see it demonstrated in others, and actually I'd be able to identify it. And I think that's going to go a long way to maybe helping you hold a little bit more compassion for people that perhaps have been a source of frustration for you of late, okay? Or, you know, in particular dynamics where you're really questioning, is this for me? Is this for me or not, you know? So there's definitely some moments through the course of June where it's kind of like that, what now? But at the same time, like what I'm seeing is this sort of rising confidence and, you know, a little bit of this is not a kind of negotiable for me anymore. Like I have to do this. I have to experience this. I have to go explore this. So whatever your heart is yearning for, wherever it's guiding you and leading you, I do see you taking some real specific, intentional steps towards making a change, or letting something in, or allowing something in your life. You know, even if you've had fear and anxiety around it before, even if it hasn't worked, even if there's been a lot of challenges and setbacks, I do think it's a month that can bring in some validating energy, and that's needed, I think, you know. If you're new to the channel, Aquarius, the last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading, you can find the link in the comment and description box underneath. I hope you'll join me. We'll also look at a personal and a relationship card for you as well. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards. Let's see the direction we're going to take that reading for you. We've got 6 of Pentacles coming through, and an energy of the Knight of Swords, 7 of Cups, and the Empress. There's our Venus and Taurus. Knight of Wands. Oh, Ace of Swords. That is an important card for you this month, okay? Temperance. Queen of Wands. So please check out my website. romywiser.com. If you would like a personal reading with me, you're going to find ways to do that. You're also going to find my sacred trilogy. So I created a oracle deck, and I've got a journal and a book, all of which work really beautifully together. You'll see some offers over on the website for that. And in addition, my reports, so my brand new astrocartography, locational astrology, as well as my goddess and angel reports, and just all of the sacred ways that I have put things together to support you on your journey, right? So I hope you'll join me over there. Right, let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. This is my deck. What do we have through for you? We've got energy conversations. We have sacral energy, creative charge, earth medicine and magic, cast their spells, spirit horse, sovereign power. We've got the sun charged in light. You've got beautiful fire coming in this month for yourself. Soul star energy, a conscious connection. I think you're set to look at somebody through new eyes this month. You're going to look at them very differently. Right, just a couple of oracles for Aquarius. Right, we've got inner strength coming through. That's joining the strength card in the main reading. One more for Aquarius. What do we have for June? The tiger, flexibility. The place is a prehistoric bamboo forest in Southeast Asia. Okay, listen, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. Enjoy Solstice, enjoy June. I'm going to see you again next time. Bye for now.